Yes. And there you have it. Sports update, Detroit Sports Talk. Raaj, Adrian, Reid, we all in the building. Fellas, what's up?
What's up?
Yo,
We in the building. We in the building. Let's go ahead and dive right into this thing. All right. So we go ahead and start off with the Pistons. Yeah, I'm rocking the shirt today, but don't be fooled. I was very unimpressed watching that game last night against Portland, a game where the Pistons were favored. Pistons were favored in that game. Portland's out there pretty much with a G League roster. Other than let me see, who was it? It was Winslow and Ben McAdoo was literally the only two. Not McAdoo. Ben McLemore, excuse me.
the
Was literally
Giants head coach, ex-head coach.
yeah, those was literally the only two players that I knew on that Portland team. Like that team was literally a G League team, a game you're favored in, and you're down 23 points at home. Like that was just unacceptable, man. The Pistons have just been extremely underwhelming, man. Just 20 turnovers in that game, just undisciplined, sloppy basketball. It's like this late in the season, how are you playing that poorly, that bad against a team that's that bad? I understand they had a lot of guys out yesterday. Joseph didn't play, Jeremy Grant didn't play, but you still had your young core out there. Cade, Sadiq, Bags, Stu, Killian Hayes. Those guys were still out there, man. And this Pistons team is just awful, man. It was pathetic, man. I was just embarrassed watching the game last night. I text both of you guys about it while I was watching it, and it was just horrible. And I know it's probably an unpopular opinion. It's 10 games left, but honestly, I feel as though they need to just start tanking at this point. They don't really have much of a draw. I know the draw is watching Cade and some of these younger guys, but I mean, at this point, you got the second worst record in the NBA. It's 10 games left. This team's going nowhere fast. Start sitting these guys, man. Start tanking. Start getting ready for the draft. Start improving your draft position at this point, man. It's just pathetic. It's all the way around bad right now. And yeah, I know sitting Cade right now would hurt for his rookie of the year chances. But honestly, if they keep playing the way they're playing, 1-7 in their last 8 games, I don't think he's going to get it anyway. The way Mobley's playing in Cleveland, they're going to make the playoffs. Cade might be on the outside looking in on the strength of just how bad and pathetic the Pistons are. So that's where I'm at with it. Reid, I'll let you go ahead and jump in here.
Yeah, unfortunately, that the MVP, they don't look at obviously just a single player because I don't think Evan Mobley's definitely done well at the beginning of the season, but he's tapered off towards the end, and I think Cade's done really well. Cade is also the only rookie to have 2 triple doubles. That's more than a big man in Evan Mobley and a big man in Scotty Barnes. So I think he definitely deserves it. And playing on a team like the Pistons that we're talking about here. I was just looking up some of the stats. It doesn't help, those young guys played well. Cade 25, Sadiq 25, Bagley was 15 and 9. But Sadiq can't go.
Cade did have 9 turnovers.
Yeah, that's not good. But Sadiq can't go 5 for 13 from 3 either. That doesn't hurt. That doesn't help. You're the guy out there that you want out there to make those big time shots and everything like that. So I think that hurt them. But I also just think depth. One thing that they need is they don't have anybody really coming off the bench. You say Killian Hayes, he didn't do anything. He hasn't done anything since he's been drafted. I know you guys are big Michigan guys. Isaiah Livers, you can't go 1 for 7 on 25 minutes, only have 5 points and 5 rebounds. You played almost as much as a starter. You played basically as much as Bagley and Isaiah Stewart, and you only get 5 points and 5 rebounds. I think that's unacceptable. As far as tanking goes, you're going to get, 15 or 14.6%, whatever it is, the same as the Magic and the Rockets. So I think they're pretty much solidifying that spot. The next team that's close, I think, is Indiana maybe or OKC. So
OKC,
yeah. So I think tanking in basketball is a little bit different, obviously, because you're not guaranteed a 1 spot or anything like that. So hopefully, they get 1 or 2, then they can get the guy that they want, or I want them to get 2 so they can get Jabari, even though they look like crap playing this weekend. But I think it's hopeless. I think the answer is Dwayne Casey is not the guy to lead this team. He's very good developmentally, but you need someone that's a better leader. You need someone that can take a team from 0 to hero, and it's definitely not Dwayne Casey.
I'm right there along with you guys on this one. The game last night I thought it was a winnable game. You got guys out there like Brandon Williams, Trendon Watford, Greg Brown. We know Big Mac more. No Anthony Simons, no Dame. So no Nurkic. So there's no guys out there that they have. And late in that game, the Pistons did what they normally do in a team that doesn't know how to win. They gave up a drive when Brandon Williams went 1-on-1, had a layup. B. Stu catches the ball at the top of the key and gets in the elbow for an offensive foul. Why you're throwing the ball to him and he's trying to make a play, I don't know. Cade had a couple late turnovers in that game that was crucial. But with that being said, with Cade, the fact is, a young rookie guard, they're gonna have a lot of turnovers, but it's can he learn from his mistakes, which I definitely see it in Cade. So I'm not gonna question what he does or how he does it. Sadiq, for me, he shoots, and if he hits it, he's good. But he does. That's his problem. He just wants to shoot threes. Get to the cup. Be aggressive. Make some plays. I like what I'm seeing from Bagley. Let's get him healthy. Hopefully he can stay healthy. So those three guys right there, I think, is a good core to build around. Like you said, Reid, the bench terrible. They give you nothing. Killian Hayes, I've been saying it all year, Raj. I've been saying it since the beginning of the season. A complete bust in my opinion, and I really hate to do that to guys, but I just don't see it in him. And if we're gonna get rid of Dwayne Casey, we got to make sure we have his replacement. But I will tell the fans to be a little patient with Troy Weaver. This offseason is going to be a tell and tell offseason if he can actually get some guys in here, get some good draft picks, continue the development. But this team is bad right now. And Raj, I don't think they even need to tank because they're probably gonna win maybe one or two more games to close the season out anyways. And I will say that I think Cade does deserve the rookie of the year because he's played better in the second half of the season, although the record doesn't necessarily account for it. Mobley he slid a little bit. Cleveland's actually slid as a team a little bit. They'll still get into the playoffs, but I still think Cade should win rookie of the year. But this team, like, they still need help, and they're still not good yet. They're down there with the Orlando Magics, and the Indiana Pacers, the OKC Thunder, and the Houston Rockets. So we're still a long ways away, but there's been a little bit of progress this year.
So where you at with Casey? You want to see Casey come back, or you think it's time to move on?
I say I give him another season. He doesn't really have a lot to work with. He's trying. The guys are playing hard for him. They're not. It's not like they're going out there not playing unless like last night for a quarter and a half they decided to mail it in and got down 15 at the half. But I would say you give him one more season and let's see what he can do with some more talent surrounded around him.
I think the thing with Dwayne Casey is, keep him. If you get this pick, that's a top 3 pick this year, you're going to be looking at a guy that's going to probably be starting for you next season. I mean, we can all agree on that, I'm pretty sure, whether it's Chet, whether it's, Ivy, whether it's, one of these guys that's going to be taken in the top 4 or 5, whatever. So he's great developmentally. He's really good at developing guys. As you can see, Cade came in. He's basically a veteran presence that we have, probably the only veteran presence other than Jeremy Grant. But Jeremy Grant's also a guy who just tries to take ISO shots all the time. So I know I sent to you yesterday, Raj, that there's speculation that the Blazers are the front runners to make a strong push for Jeremy Grant in the offseason during the draft. So I know we talked about it. I think the Pelicans pick that they got was in play. So if you can send Jeremy Grant there and get that Pelicans lottery pick, whether it's 10 or 7, those two guys that you hit on those two guys, you're taking a massive leap the next season. If you get Jabari or Chet, you get those guys that can really come in, make an impact, and then that lottery pick that could come off, maybe, be a great diamond in the rough that you can find. Troy Weaver seems to be doing that with Isaiah Stewart and some of these guys that he picked up in the previous draft. So I say, give Casey one more year because he's great at developing, but other than that, you're going to need something to take you to the next level. And hang on, sorry, I wanted to ask you this. So there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 10 games left. They have the Hawks, the Wizards, the Knicks, the Nets, the 76ers, the Thunder, the Pacers, the Mavs, the Bucks, and the 76ers again. I see maybe 1 or 2 wins you could sneak out there if some of those big teams are resting guys.
Right.
I say 2 and 10 just because they might steal a victory that they're not supposed to get, or say the Bucks sit out Giannis, Middleton, and Holiday. You never know. So especially towards the last week of the season, teams are trying to get as rested as they can for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think the tank is in order. I think the tank has already happened. I don't think you're going to win any more because like I said, I think they're 2 or 3 games out of that position to even be knocked back into lower percentage for first overall, and you go from I think 14.6, like I said, to 12 point something. It is. I mean, it's a big percentage for that, but still, you want one of those top 3.
Yeah, well, we see how it plays out these last 10 games, and yeah, it's been ugly. And I mean, yeah, like I said, they've already been taken unintentionally. So, so we'll see if they're gonna full tank mode the last 10 games and start resting Cade and resting some of these guys. So we'll see. All right, let's get some of the feedback here. Shout out to BA in the building. BA says, "What's going on, fellas?" He says the Pistons don't have talents. It's not Casey's fault. I mean, but with Casey, I mean, it's not all his fault, but I just haven't really seen that much improvement from last year till now. I mean, what have they really improved on? I mean, I just haven't really seen much. I mean, I know he doesn't have a whole lot to work with, but I just need to see a little more, like 20 turnovers against the horrible Blazers and down 23 points. That was just embarrassing, man. That was just embarrassing.
I mean, now, could I ask you guys this really quickly about the Pistons with not having, talent, obviously? I love Isaiah Stewart. I think he's a great player. I think he has that kind of that dog in him where he likes to battle around the rim. He likes to go up for touchdowns, kind of like a Big Ben in the way, not the same, not the same caliber. But how many? I mean, do you give him 1 more year, 2 more years? I know he's on this rookie deal, but do you give him 1 more year, 2 more years to keep being a starter? He doesn't. He barely averages 10 points a game, and he gets you maybe 8, 9 rebounds. But if you can get a big guy like Chet to replace him at center, do you make Stu come off the bench next season? What would you guys do with Stu if he doesn't take that leap and can start averaging you 18 points and 10 rebounds, or 16 points and 10 rebounds?
I've been saying that all year, Reid. I told Rod this early in the year. I think he's solid, but he's just a try hard guy. He doesn't fit the traditional NBA, especially not with the team that the Pistons currently have constructed. So if you can have him come off as your 7th or 8th player, that'd be nice. But I need a big man who's gonna stretch the floor, who's gonna get more rebounds, and who's gonna be a difference maker. And he's just not that for me.
Could you move if you think about it? So make Stu come off the bench, and you let's say you do get that lottery pick for Jeremy Grant. Do you miss out on Chet? You go with a Jabari or an Ivy, and then you can put Cade's obviously going to play the 1 or the 2. If you get Ivy, you put him at 1, what have you. Would you move Bagley if you don't get another big man to start to try and make him play center? He's big. I mean, he's 6'10". He's a big framed guy. You could put him at center, I think, but would that be something you guys think would work? Or?
Go ahead,
you said move Bagley, like trade him?
No, just move him to the 5 spot instead of
keeping
him at 4.
Yeah. That's definitely in play. Absolutely, for sure. And as far as Beef Stew, I like Beef Stew, but once you fill the roster out, and if he's a guy that needs to come off the bench, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think that ultimately, I think that's what he's going to end up being, because he can't take the step to get you to get the points, and that's what you need from him. You're looking at their team is lacking in points. They rarely get over 90, 95 points, and Beef Stew's coming out on single digits every night I look, or at least 10. Like, you need to get more than that as a starting center in the NBA.
I couldn't agree with you guys more on that one. Could not agree more.
Absolutely. All right, shout out to Jaleel tapping in. Jaleel says, "What's up, fellas?" Jaleel, I know you're a big Philly fan. What do you think the Eagles going to do in the first round with all those first round picks? All right, moving on. Let's switch over to the NCAA tournament. We did see Michigan State season come to an end. They lost to Duke on Sunday. So, Adrian, I'll let you start us off. Do you consider Michigan State season a success or a failure?
I mean, it's always a failure. I mean, I get it. I would say it's a failure just because of the fact that they had Duke up late in that game with under 4 minutes left, and they decided to blow a 5-point lead with a couple late turnovers in that game. Although this Duke team is a number 2 seed, I think they're highly overrated. Michigan State, honestly, is not that good of a team if you look at their roster right now. You got A.J. Hogan and Tyson Walker in there. My issue with Tom Izzo has been like this the last probably 5 or 6 years. He cannot get with the times. When I say is he does not let the players play. He wants to continue to run these staggered offenses, these old dry offenses, not let the players get the rhythm and find their instinct. There's late in the game with 45 seconds left when they're trying to run 3 sets to get a three, get a quick bucket. Let's get it going. His main problem is he overcoaches, but this team has been highly bad this year. He's been under recruiting. He hasn't got the guys. He doesn't attack the transfer portal. They did get a good win over a Davidson team, but ultimately they blew it. They had the opportunity. It was in their hands, and they fell short. And this is another disappointing season for Tom Izzo, who still hasn't been able to capture his second championship. We knew they weren't championship quality, but just over the years, it just seems like this Michigan State program has seemed to just steadily be on the decline, and people just don't want to admit that. It's not the same team that we've seen from the late 2000s, the early 2000s, even part of the mid 2000s. But overall, like I said, it's a failure in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think the season was a failure. Out of the two, I mean, we know I'm a Florida State guy. They weren't even in it. But out of the two Michigan teams, you know that I root for Michigan State a little bit more than Michigan. So I think, I mean, Izzo has had success the past couple of years. I mean, if you look at the COVID year, he had a good team. The year before that. So, I mean, I do think he would need to attack the transfer portal. I think, losing a guy like Amani Bates, as much as people have, he was kind of lackluster, it kind of hurts you still. But Tom Izzo is also the guy that never really has that, one superstar or anything like that. He always has the team, which is why he's been to so many Final Fours. I mean, he's one of the most successful coaches in college basketball history. And March Madness isn't easy to win. I mean, it's a one elimination tournament. You don't expect anybody. I mean, look what's going on with like St. Peter's and all those other teams that, this is the year of upsets. I mean, it's been upset left and right. So, that being said, yeah, it was absolutely a failure. I think that his team just wasn't good. They couldn't stop turning the ball over. They didn't have that one guy like a Cassius Winston, like a Kalen Lucas, like a Mateen Cleats. They didn't have that one guy that could really facilitate the floor and do what Tom Izzo wants. So, yeah, like Adrian said, they were up late, but they couldn't buy a bucket that game either. I mean, that first half of that game was probably the most boring March Madness game I've ever seen, and Duke couldn't really score either. I was at my in-laws' house, and we ended up. Her grandfather turned on golf. It was that game was so boring. I mean, it was such an atrocious game, and it was like 15-17 at like, I don't know, what was it, 9 minutes left to go or something. It was ridiculous. So, yeah, it was a failure, and they didn't deserve to be any further in the tournament. And I don't think Duke does either. Like Adrian said, I think Duke's highly overrated this year too. So, yeah, Michigan State, try and get them next year, but this wasn't your year.
Yeah, State. Yeah, I say it's a disappointing season. Izzo, he's a legend. Don't get me wrong, or anything like that. But he definitely needs to get that second national championship and get over the hump. He just hasn't been able to get there over the hump just yet. And we'll see. Guys ain't getting any younger, so we'll see. But we did see Michigan win 2 games this past weekend. Michigan beat Colorado State and Tennessee. Both you guys did pick Michigan to lose. So Reid, how did Michigan pull this off? How did Michigan pull off beating Colorado State and Tennessee?
I mean, hand up. I thought they would be out by now, and I'm very surprised that they're still in it. I mean, Colorado State was at 15 at one point, right? And I think at the half, somewhere around there. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't think they were going to end up doing it, and then I don't know. Hunter Dickinson turned his game on, and some of those younger players really stepped up. So, I mean, that game against Colorado was kind of a nail biter up until, I don't know, what would you say, 10 minutes in the second half, something like that left. It was kind of around there. Then they started running away with it. The Tennessee game blew me away. Tennessee, I don't think, led once in that game. Everybody thought they were going to get blown out, including myself. Yeah. But thinking about it, Hunter Dickinson, again, I will say, though, I did say when Hunter Dickinson is on is when Michigan's winning. Did I not say that before when we've been talking about this? So Hunter Dickinson has been on, and he's been killing it for that team. And Tennessee's center, I saw that his stats were just like he couldn't even hang there. He was like 4, 3, and 2 or something like that. Like his stats just weren't even in the stratosphere of Hunter Dickinson. So he couldn't out rebound, he couldn't outscore, he couldn't attack the paint. Yeah, this Villanova team is short too. I don't think they have a guy over 6'9", 6'10" maybe. So But they can shoot, and everybody said that about Tennessee. I know, but we'll see. At this point, I can't doubt them. I mean, Michigan could win. I could see this game being close. Who's Villanova? They're not the team of old like they were a few years ago.
Hey, look, Reid, you put it all right where it needs to be put, man. The thing is, I didn't look at this. Michigan had the matchup in both these matchups. They had the size factor. There's not so many teams in the country who has a 7-foot center who can get over the top of everybody. All he did was just bully Colorado State. They didn't have a guy over the size of 6'8", and he just, like you said, when Hunter's on, he's on. He doesn't miss. I think Juwan has let the reins loose a little bit. Devontae didn't play, so Frankie Collins has done a phenomenal job, and Juwan is just letting him come into his own and find himself. Against Tennessee, Kennedy Chandler got his own, but Michigan attacked. They shot well from the field. But the thing that people don't look at is the fact that Tennessee shot 2 for 18 from three ball. So that's a huge factor. And if you look at a lot of these upsets in the tournament, you look at Iowa against Richmond, you look at Kentucky against St. Peter's. When you don't shoot the ball well, you don't win. Even look at Johnny Davis in Wisconsin, who struggled over the weekend. They got a win over Colgate, but lost to Iowa State, which is probably the most boringest team to watch in the country. But when you don't shoot the ball well, it doesn't end well for you, especially in the age of this basketball we have. But give a shout out to Michigan. I'm happy for Juwan. So they're gonna play Villanova, but here's where I disagree with you guys. I know Villanova is small, and we all continue to say this, but Jay Wright continues to lead this program, and they continue to win basketball games. They're small. They run this stupid offense with Colin Gillespie. Literally backs down every point guard 12 times, 12 dribbles, kicks it out. The guy either shoots a 3 or he takes you off the dribble. And see, I think that's where Villanova is going to take advantage of Hunter Dickinson and take him out the game. They're going to make him play from the top of the key and space it out and make him guard. And if they can do that, they can win because they've shown the ability to consistently to make shot after shot, and that's why they are so tough. And they're usually only playing 6 or 7 guys, and it's very frustrating because being a Carolina fan, like I said, they broke my heart a couple times, but I still think Villanova team has the advantage in this game going into Thursday. But Michigan definitely has a shot for sure.
All right, yeah, Villanova currently on a 7-game win streak. Obviously crossing over from the regular season. Currently the 2 seed, 4.5 in this game. Reid, what do you like in this game? What?
Sorry, Raj, you broke up. What were you saying?
Oh, I said Villanova currently on a 7-game win streak, crossing over from the regular season. Hold on. Boom. There we go. All right. Villanova.
We keep losing you.
Yeah, we keep losing. You're right.
I do want to say really quickly about the oh, did we get him back? Raj?
You there?
I can hear something. I keep going, but what I was going to say though is, yeah, the Villanova team can shoot. Tennessee, like you were saying, it's like they were living by shooting and dying by shooting, like all season. When they were off, they were losing every game that they were playing. When they were on, they were winning every game they were playing. And the 2 guards that they had, just man, they could not shoot to save their life. It was a bad looking game. So I guess he wants to know who I have. I mean, at this point, if I take Michigan, does it like go against everything I said about when I was talking trash about them? I got to take Villanova. I just think they are honestly a better team. Michigan has been playing good, so credit to them. But I still think Villanova is the better team. I ultimately would take Villanova, and I actually think that I would take. I think he said they're +7 favorite. I would take that, to be honest.
Let me see. Let me double check that just to make sure. I think they were.
Well, I like. I'm probably gonna go Villanova in this game as well, man. Michigan has been playing very well. Don't get me wrong. I did pick them to beat Colorado State. I didn't think they were going to beat Tennessee. But I mean, getting in the tournament is just getting in, and you never know what can happen. Honestly, I don't think they even should have got in. I think they should have been in the play-in game, but they got in. They're working their magic. And, same thing if you look in like the NFL. When Eli won his Super Bowl, 9-7, you get in as a wild card, you get hot, you go on the run. So I'm not counting Michigan out. That this is a winnable game for them, but I'm gonna roll with Villanova in this one.
Yeah, they're minus. Michigan is +5, so Villanova is the -5. So I'll take Villanova with the points in this game. I think Michigan will keep it close for a little bit, but Villanova will find a way to pull away late in this game, like they have for most teams all season, because they're playing their best basketball in this last month or so.
All right, there you have it. Clean sweep. All right, let's get some of the feedback here. Okay. Oh, man. All right, let's see. K Salty says Izzo can keep losing. Go blue. Jaleel says Reid is such a cynic.
How am I a cynic? For what did I say that made me a cynic? I thought that was funny.
The young cynicster. All right. Shout out Khan in the building. He says it is Casey's fault. He's got to recruit better. Okay. And Jaleel giving us what he thinks the Eagles should do in the draft. He says, I think we may get a corner and a defensive lineman. I don't have all the faith in the world in Hurts, though. Talking about Jalen Hurts there.
So, he did pretty well.
I mean, hey, Philly got some chance to load up. I believe they got 3 first-round picks this year. So yeah, so Philly's gonna have the chance to load up. Absolutely. And that'll go ahead and segue us into our next topic, the NFL. We've seen Deshaun Watson get traded to the Browns for 3 first-round picks. Adrian, how did you feel about the trade?
Let's just say it's amazing how the NFL finds a way to just always steal the show. I'm in the middle Friday watching the tournament games and gets breaking news across my phone. I literally almost dropped my phone because you guys all know I'm a Steelers fan. So I seen this and just in my head I said, oh man, we definitely officially have the worst quarterback in this division. I was shocked Deshaun Watson took the Cleveland deal, but here's what it really came down to was the fact that Cleveland ponied up all that money, over $230 million guaranteed. So hey, if I'm Deshaun Watson, I'm any guy, I'm taking that money. I could be in Alaska. I'm taking that money. They actually have a good roster. They have some good players. Houston gave up a lot, 3 first-round picks, I believe a 3rd round as well. They got back a 5th.
Yeah, they got that. I'm sorry.
But Houston had to do this. Cleveland's trying to make a run. The AFC is basically at an arms race. It's who can have the better quarterback. So I'm looking at this division. You got Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Now you got Deshaun Watson, who I think probably will have a lengthy suspension, maybe 6 to 8 games. At some point in time, we'll see where that goes. But ultimately, I think it was a good trade for both teams. Good for Cleveland. Makes the division more competitive, even though I still think the AFC North will be the 2nd best division behind the AFC West, who has Herbert, Derek Carr, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson. So it just makes the AFC tougher, makes it harder to get through, makes it harder for my Steelers to win. So I'm mad they beat us to it, but I think, like I said, it's a good change of scenery for Deshaun. I was thinking he was gonna NFC, maybe a Carolina or Atlanta was when we talked about it last week where we thought he was going to go, and the sports world is crazy. It can just go from a 180 to a 360 real quick.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, the fact that he said no to Cleveland, then he went back, and then they gave him all that money, and Washington 3 first-round picks. I think that made the deal all the sweeter. He will probably get a lengthy suspension. I know they're talking anywhere from 6 to 17 games. So, you could see something like that happening. So, Cleveland might be completely out of it. We don't know. I mean, are they keeping Baker? We still don't know what's going on with him. So, yeah, I wanted the Lions to get him as much as terrible the things he did. They're not going to pony up the money for him. They're not going to pony up the picks. I understand. I honestly think that Pittsburgh is better off not getting him. I like Deshaun Watson, but you have a lot of needs on like offensive line that they have and stuff like that. So, and you lost a few defensive players. So, I think you'll do fine with Mitch for a year and maybe try and trade up and get a guy next year. That could always be a possibility. So, but yeah, that division is going to be tough. But I see Cincinnati probably still. Yeah, I see Cincinnati winning it again. I mean, they just bolstered their offensive line a lot better. That was their only weakness last year. Their defense is still solid. So Cleveland, they have Amari Cooper. They have Njoku. Those are like their only guys. Their offensive line is okay. They lost a few guys again this year too. So I think they'll ultimately finish third behind the Ravens. But yeah, I just can't. I don't know. I'm still in shock that he got that much money for being potentially out for the season.
I got the Ravens winning that division and getting to the Super Bowl.
Ugh.
All right, K Salty on the feedback says Browns look good on paper, but your eyes tell you the team as a whole is not strong as they were 2 years ago and only going to get worse. I don't think they're a championship team.
I
I
agree.
mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong on that. And I do have the Ravens actually coming out of the AFC North next season. Lamar Jackson is going to be healthy. That team is going to be healthy.
J.K.
And
Dobbins
then
coming back.
absolutely Gus Edwards. And my Steelers was at Malik Willis's pro day today. Mike Tomlin and company had dinner with him last night. So maybe I don't want to read too deep into that, but we'll see. Maybe if they want to get him, they're gonna have to trade up. I wouldn't mind drafting him, letting him sit
What
for
pick
a
do you
year.
guys have?
20.
Never mind. I don't want that.
I don't know if you're necessarily going to have to trade up.
In a desperate
I do.
in a desperate quarterback market, I think they will, just because you got Carolina ahead of you. They've notoriously want a quarterback really bad. So we'll
Atlanta.
see. Yeah, absolutely. And it's from there.
The Saints.
Houston, maybe.
Yeah, those aren't. No, Houston, I think is going to roll with Mills. To be honest with you,
I think
maybe
the
wait
Saints
until
are
next
rolling
year.
with Jameis. I believe
Yeah,
the Saints are rolling with Jameis.
and they also have a later pick than the Steelers anyway, right?
Yeah, and then we know Seattle's stupid, so they think Drew Lock is the guy, which is, hey, Drew Lock is the poor man's version of Jay Cutler. But I'm just gonna leave that. I'm just gonna leave that where that's at. So they can
Well, they
be
have
dumb if
2
they want
picks,
to.
right? They have
Yeah,
2 picks, so I mean, Denver's in their own, so they could use Denver's is before the Steelers, I believe, right?
yeah, they're at 9, I believe. It was 9, I believe, 9 or 10.
So you can pick there. I mean, yeah, I know. The Lions were at Kenny Pickett's today. Unless he falls to 32, I don't really want to take a quarterback in this draft. I'd rather do it next year.
I'm not a big fan of Kenny Pickett.
And there's going to be a lot of second round guys too. I think Corral might falling out the first round. Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, Carson Strong. A lot of those. It's going to be a lot of second round guys available as well too. So everybody doesn't necessarily have to pull the trigger on the quarterback in the first round.
Yeah, I just necessarily don't want the Lions to draft one at all this year because you re-sign those 2 guys that were your backups, and you have Goff. Like, try and get one of those guys next year. I'm just really hoping that they can solidify that and get a Stroud or a Young next year.
But let them go load up on defensive, some D linemen, get you maybe a corner, another safety. Definitely some receivers. Like I said, we talked about this is a deep, and I mean deep receiver class. So they need to load up on talent just around the team, surround them, and then when you get more confident, put a quarterback around that's going to complete everything else.
I would love to trade our second overall pick for that Broncos pick that Seattle has if they want Malik Willis. If they like him enough to trade up to 2, I would take that pick and one of those other Broncos pick they sent over there. I think they sent a 3rd rounder, didn't they? Something like that,
Yeah,
maybe, or 4th. Yeah, so I would love to take, or even maybe a pick next year. I mean, I don't care, but I would love to move back to that 10th spot and maybe take you might be able to get a Kyle Hamilton there. I know Raaj, you like him, but or another edge guy that could maybe you can get the guy out of Georgia. So yeah, I'm all for moving back. Oh, Sauce Gardner would be sick. You need a corner, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Mel Kiper's mock today, he came out. He had the Lions taking Kyle Hamilton at 2, and he had him taking Matt Corral at 32. So
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I'd be very disappointed in that draft.
I don't like that. Not for them.
I mean, I don't mind Hamilton. I think he can be good. I think he's definitely a good prospect. I just think that you need to take him later. You're not taking him at 2.
Yeah. All right. We seen Mike Florio came out and said the Lions need to trade for Baker Mayfield. He's the perfect guy for the job for the Lions. So, Adrian, I'll start with you. What do you think about the Lions trading for Baker Mayfield? Is that something you would like to see?
I mean, if they could get Baker Mayfield, I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but I'm not gonna trade, especially what the Browns are probably asking. I read a report earlier today that said the Browns were asking for a first round pick. This guy's carrying an $18 million cap hit. So why I'm not giving you a first round pick for Baker Mayfield? If you want to say a fourth round pick, maybe I'll do it. You want to swap him out for golf? I mean, cool, but I'm not going above and beyond to get him. Baker put himself in a really tight situation where it was like musical chairs, and he missed the seat. They pulled it out from him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, unless you're sending like a fourth round pick and like golf or something over there for him, yeah, I don't want any. I don't want to sniff anything Baker's selling. So, um, yeah. I mean, he may be like a Dan Campbell guy. He's that kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the knee biting, gritty, guy. Sure, but I want no part of what Baker's selling. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like if you're gonna move on from Goff, the guy you're bringing in has to clearly be better, and it's Baker Mayfield clearly better than Jared Goff. I don't think he is honestly. I think Baker's a little more athletic, a little
I think
more
he's a
can run.
slight upgrade.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't be much though, and he's not going to move the needle that much. I think Baker's a little more athletic. He can run a little better, but if it's not a clear cut guy better than Goff, I wouldn't do it. And no, I wouldn't bring Baker here, and he's not going to come here and be the savior and be much better than Goff, honestly. So no, I'd stay away from that trade as well.
I honestly, if you look at it, you're going to bring Baker in, and he's slightly better than Goff, so he gives you more of a chance to, maybe lower your draft pick next year, and you don't want that. You want that higher draft pick to potentially get one of those quarterbacks. You don't want to have to trade up for a quarterback that you really like and use one of your, other assets like your second first round pick or maybe a pick the year after. Um, Hopefully, the pick the year after, we would be in a better position to, get rid of that. But yeah, if he's coming here to help you a little bit, I don't want it. I'd rather just roll with Goff and see where this team lands in the draft, getting more pieces around, build, and then get the quarterback later.
For sure. K Salty in the building again. K Salty says, agreed, no QB this year, but I also don't know where the team should go as a whole. And K Salty says, Jimmy G, Jared Goff, and Baker are all the same QB. Why trade?
I think Jared Goff and Jimmy G are closer than Baker is.
So you think Baker's better than both those guys?
Yeah, I just on an athletic ability, he has the ability to run it, and I think he throws a little bit stronger ball than both those guys. So
I'll give Jimmy G the slight edge over both of them, but he can't stay healthy like we always talk about. So availability is basically a skill set in my opinion as well. So, but I'd give Jimmy G the slight edge.
the best ability is availability.
Yep. All right, we
100%.
seen yeah. All right, we seen Michigan DN David Ajabo. He tore his ACL at the pro day. So do you guys still think he goes in the first round, or if he falls to the second round and he's there at 34, do you guys want to see the Lions take him?
Me, Adrian, who do you want to go first?
Yeah,
Go ahead,
Reid.
get it going for us, Reid.
I mean, if you take a guy like Hutchinson at 2, which again, personally, I don't want Hutchinson. I think this last year was kind of a flash in the pan for him. I think he can be okay, but I'd rather not take him at 2 overall. So if you do end up skipping on something like that and he falls to you in the second round, yeah, I would definitely take him at 34. I mean, he was graded at being picked anywhere from 10 to 15. So an ACL is no joke to come back from. What is he going to be like afterwards? That's worth taking the second round gamble on. You know what I mean? He has the potential to be really good. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely roll the dice and gamble with it, but I would try and take another guy later in the draft also, potentially with a fourth round pick or something like that. But ultimately, I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think they're going to go after a guy with an ACL injury, in my opinion. So is he worth it? Absolutely. If he's there, would I take him? And I hadn't taken another edge, or I haven't taken another, pass rusher. Yeah, I would do it. But if I've taken a pass rusher already, I probably wouldn't waste the second round pick on a guy who's going to be out all season.
I'm a big Ajabo fan. I think his upside is definitely higher than Aiden Hutchinson's. So the Lions won't have to worry about trying to get Hutchinson because I think he'll be the number 1 pick. But with that being said, I don't think the Lions should draft him. I believe it's this Achilles injury is going to push him back into maybe the high 30s, early 40s. But he will be a second round pick from stuff I was listening to with Mel Kiper and Todd McShay. But the Lions need to focus on getting the edge rusher first, stacking that receiver core, and Ajabo is a player who has to do a little more developing because he's still a little raw. Because this is his really big year, so you can't afford to draft a guy who's going to sit on the bench for a year, especially with where they're at. They need to get guys on the field who's going to play immediately and start to develop and put this team and build them together. So that's where I differ a little bit. Just he should get drafted, but not for the Lions at this point in the stage of the rebuild for them.
There it is. All right, let's see. K Salty with one last comment here. He said, "That's my point. Very slight difference between all three. No point to switch." Talking about the quarterbacks there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there it is. Been a good sports talk. Been good talking with you guys. Anything else you guys want to add before we get up out of here?
Real quick, Sweet 16. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Reid.
No, you go, Adrian. You're first.
I was going to say Sweet 16 Thursday, Michigan and North Carolina plays. I do have them beating UCLA, by the way, in Philadelphia. So make sure you guys watch that game. I know they gave me a heart attack, blew a 25-point lead, and won in overtime. So the best display of not how to be able to break a press defense. So if you want to know, watch that game.
Were you expecting North Carolina to do all this?
The thing was, I didn't pick them to win, so I'm surprised they got here. But when you get to that point where you're up 25 points, then I get up here. I'm up here on the high, and then they decide to blow a 25-point lead. So then it's just, whoa, now they got me invested. Now, had it just been a regular close game and they lost, I'd have been like, okay. But after you got that lead, if you would have blew it, then I would have lost it. But they found some way to pull the victory out.
That was the worst display of refereeing I've ever seen against North Carolina too. I mean, they were all going Baylor's way. I personally was rooting for Baylor just for my own bracket's sake because I had Baylor going all the way to the final. So, not winning, but I had them going to the final. But that was like honestly atrocious refereeing. I mean, it was like they just wanted them to like the game to be close and the game to look like that. So, I mean, yeah, North Carolina looks good. The thing I was going to say is we're about a month away from the draft, right? One of these shows we should try and see if we can put a mock draft together. Maybe getting a little closer to the draft, the second week in April, maybe.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. We could do that. Just let us know ahead of time so we can. It's going to take me a little bit of time to kind of organize a little bit, and then I think most of the trades will be probably finalized, and we'll have the exact draft order. All the that can change at any point in time, but I think for the most part, we'll be good.
Yeah, I'm down with that. So we'll get it working.
Absolutely.
There it is. Stay tuned. Lots to come. Sports update. Detroit sports talk. We up out of this thing, man. Peace.
See you, boys.